Welcome to the Blue Lake City Council meeting for March 25th. Go ahead and establish the quorum for us this meeting.
Mayor Sawatski,
Here.
Mayor Savant,
Here.
Councilmember here, Councilmember Lewis Musso,
Here.
Councilmember Fire.
All right, everyone's here. Go ahead and stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Does anyone want anything moved around on the agenda?
I wanted to know, and maybe this isn't the spot, but under 4, with reports of council and staff, would it be appropriate to add C for council report?
What do you
So just add C
Well, it would
council.
be, but I don't think we can add, well,
We can't.
technically we can't add
So we
it to the
can't approve.
agenda tonight.
So, but we approve it, but not, we can't add to it.
Well, it's reports of council and staff, and I apologize. I usually just list what staff reports are coming through, knowing that it encompasses council, but I can add that in the future if you need that.
Maybe
So
picky.
it's fine.
You're being picky.
I do. I have some changes I want to put out there. So we've been having really long meetings, running really late. And I gotta say, I really start to take those out of here the last couple of hours because it already been hours proceeding. The packet, I think, required an awful lot of research with it. And I would really like for us to be able to focus on some of the council's goals or the council's responsibilities. With that said, I would want to, I propose to move items 12, 13, and 14, which is council goal setting, the fiscal year 2025-26 budget discussion, and the city clerk. I would place those following after item 7. I think there's a lot of information there to go through and to work through, and it would be nice to be a little more fresh this point. So, moving items 12, 13, and 14 to follow after item 7.
I would second that motion.
Great.
Do we need to have a formal approval vote on that?
Or do we need to discuss it?
Acceptable for the way it is, so whatever you want to do. So we have a city manager, Megger. Do we need to go ahead and have council vote and approve that?
Yes, you need to make a motion.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor of moving those items?
I
Aye.
Okay.
think yes.
So it passed 2-3 with Napier
I think Chris abstained.
abstain. Okay.
And then similarly, to pull item
Abstain.
6G. I want to pull that out of the consent agenda and place that as an item following the council goal setting.
What is that?
Can we do that?
6B is the City of Blue Lake fiscal year 2024 and 2025 salary schedule amendment number 3. We haven't had a chance to look at where we are since we started this back in June of 2024. And I think the point was just a few months ago, if we have to take any actions, if we should. And I think it's more examination and discussion.
I thought we did have a
What?
presentation a couple of months ago. Then the amendment is to add it, the city manager and the city clerk. Correct. Okay.
So yes, I'm sorry, you're talking on the salary schedule. I looked at the wrong thing here, 6B. I'm sorry, my typing has failed me. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's the salary schedule. So yes, to clarify, we see that salary schedule in January of this year, and we have requested that the city clerk be added back to that, which I see that has. But we also requested that that include, the contract employees, which we do not have that information at this time. And in the consent agenda, as I understand that, if you pass this through and just say, okay, then it stands as it is. I think that we should have an opportunity to discuss the salaries and wages part, which is paraprofessional. That's why I'm asking to pull item 6G, which is that salary scale. We've been doing a lot of work on the city clerk position, and I don't think we're at consent agenda for it yet.
So do you feel like we can just pull it after or when we get to item 6, or do you feel we need to move it and then put it below our goals?
Either way, just as long as we pull it out separately and it's just not hanging within the consent agenda.
Right, we can pull that out. Yeah,
Okay.
we can pull that out. So if it's okay, we'll just wait till we get to item 6 and then pull it at that time and review it. Is that acceptable? Anyone else in the public wish to have items moved around? I think going forward in the future, I'd really like to try and maintain the agenda as it is, just because I think people may come in later on who've been expecting an item to be later on in the meeting. Because sometimes they'll read that and then say, oh, I'm going to be coming to the end of the meeting, not the beginning, or vice versa. So I would hate to move items around and then have people miss the items they want to speak on in the future.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I think it fixes that at the council. No, interest.
Yeah, we
Um,
have Zoom locked, so Zoom is locked apparently, so we need to get that working.
We do have to kind of keep rolling with this, at least. Take a quick look on the Zoom. So if one can comment on
Sure.
that, what were we just saying?
We were saying that we essentially were going to potentially not be moving items around in the future because it will inhibit people. You know, when you view that document online, you're going to say, oh, my item's at the end of the meeting, so I'm going to be 30 minutes late instead of at the beginning. So that's my only concern.
I completely agree, and I think that an easy fix to it is that the council has a little more determination in its own, in the setting of its own agenda. It's been very challenging, I think, to meet the amount of information that we have to research and read and verify and discuss. And to be able to just like have this flowing and probably right I find it to be very challenging. I expect it's higher than these working through the reviews out. So.
I would just like to support Councilmember Napier's request. I know this particular weekend I didn't do a deep dive, but there's lots and lots of times when it's just impossible. I've had people come up to me and say, "Why did you vote for that?" after the fact, and I'd be like, "Well, because I spent my entire weekend researching something else." So it is challenging, and yes, we
Let's go ahead and see if we can entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the modifications of moving items 12, 13, 14 after item 7.
think we already did.
We already did that.
Did we make? Okay, great. Thank you.
Those
We've-
are motion for.
Did we consider?
I didn't vote for the agenda.
4 eyes and
I abstained.
Oh,
I understand.
One.
well, I, that was to change up.
Yeah, I thought that was.
I wasn't consenting to any agenda. I was just not cool with the change up. So I think it's just.
So if it's okay, let's just get a final approval for the amended agenda and move forward.
So
Can we get-
moved.
We have a first.
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor of approving the new agenda, say aye.
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 All those opposed? I believe, did you say no?
Well, I think I'm not clear at this point. Is this, we're just saying to be able to change it or to change it as suggested?
We've made the changes as suggested,
Great.
and except for the item number 6. Sorry, I believe it was B.
Okay.
Was that the one you wanted moved?
And that's fine. You just put out separate.
Right, and we can do that once we get to item 6.
Good, okay.
Great.
So right now, you have a motion, you passed a motion to move items 12, 13, and 14 after 7. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's it. And then you'll pull from the consent when you get there.
That's correct.
And that was Councilmember Napier. Oh, that was 4 ayes, 1 no.
2 no's, I think. Right.
No,
Abstain.
or I.
4 ayes and 1 abstain,
And I was a no
but not
for modifying the agenda.
oh,
3 yes. 1 no. And 1 abstain.
All right.
your mic is off. Can I change my vote or is it already? Because I think no. I mean,
But
it doesn't matter.
it's
I'm a no, but I'll say abstain.
all right. Let's get moving. Item number 3, adopt previous council meeting minutes. Does the public wish to comment on the agenda before we move forward? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 3, adopt previous council meeting minutes. Does anyone have any comments about the meeting minutes presented to us?
I just have a couple of typos. No big deal. In January's minutes, January 30th, that's page 3. And I don't know why, but line number is printed on my.
I
Did they?
I did it on the paper so you guys could tell me the exact.
Page
line.
3.
That's
Okay, so page 3.
out.
No, it's fine. Page 3, line number 27, just has an extra 2 in there. Not a big deal. And that is the January minutes. And then from the February 20 minutes, page 2, line 25, power transitions is spelled incorrect. Not a big deal. Again, just a couple of typos. That's all I have.
Any other comments on the minutes?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. On January 30th, page 4, it looks like line 15 and 16. And we were discussing the salary schedule amendment. I think it's important to note that Councilperson Luis Scafani asked that the city clerk position be added back into the salary schedule. And that Councilperson Napier requested that we add the contract employee position as well. Page 4, 15, 16.
No, that was not January 28th. That was it. But that was
Yes.
part of our.
Okay.
That's, I just want to confirm we are recording. Is that correct?
Sorry?
We are recording. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Okay, great.
I'm just not able to go through, I don't know, 4 meetings of 5 hours each.
Well, it says January 30th, continuation of 28. So, you're one in the same meeting, essentially.
So it wouldn't hurt to have those in there because there's, I think those salient points.
I think that they were approved already. So it
Sorry.
would be superfluous for them to be in a packet.
Well, not if they're in January 30th. You're saying that they're.
Wait,
The
do we have-
28th minutes were already approved
Mhm.
from the last meeting,
Oh, all right.
so we don't need them. I can't say no. You realize.
So the added language. Is that, did that come from the recording? So I just want to make sure I'm capturing it correctly.
Okay, I haven't been able to go through all of those recordings, but in my notes that I looked at and from my recollection, I do recall specifically Councilperson Scafani requesting that the city clerk position be added back into the salary schedule. And I definitely recall asking that we also have the contract employees positions and those wages be included into the rest of the salary schedule.
That was mentioned. I recall mentioning that and hearing Kat mention the other. So we go back and verify.
Absolutely, because I'm not sure that's what that action. Because this was an amendment approving the salary schedule change as presented, so I'll have to go back and see what exactly it was.
I think with that change, it was for a different position, I think. So,
Any other comments on the minutes before we open up to the public?
yes, I did.
Great.
Thank you. Page 5, line 3743. Oh, sorry. February 25th, page 5, line 3753. It's really. No. Second. And then, the comments on trust and her comments as council member nature, comments on trust and her comfort with technology. I think it's important that it's stated that I commented on the importance of building trust in the community. I think that's kind of a significant difference there.
I'll review the recordings. I do specifically have it written down that you had commented that you technology.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, or that I think I'm comfortable with it. So it's not the technology, but it's the matter of, we don't have the trust within the community, and that's really something we have to address.
Like I said that, and then you
Oh,
followed.
yeah. Michelle said it first.
And just
It's like, here.
for clarification too, the meeting minutes are, we do action-based minutes, and I can't capture
Comment.
every comment or thought process, so, just keep that in mind, is to try and capture enough so that it leads you to the action and you have that background, but I can't capture every single comment.
And I appreciate that, and I was very judicious in selecting those changes that I thought were really important to convey. We're not trying to have a full narrative here, but I think it's really important to make some distinctions. The next item would be on February 11th, page 3, line 7. So in that, we may have available, I think that it's, this is for the ad hoc committee for the city clerk position, which was a council member, Phyllis Russo, and myself, had presented what we're calling issue number 1. And in that, we had already made the recommendation for approval of immediate and temporary short-term engagement for transcription support services, etc. So I don't think that we really have much of a description of what is happening. And just Napier and Lewis discussed. I mean, we provided authorization to go ahead and get some assistance for some transcription of meeting minutes and agenda package.
Anything else?
All right, here we are. February 25th, page 2, line 34. After I attended the REJAC meeting, there's a presentation by the local union. If you could please put in there that was discussing the PLA, that's a private labor agreement. And so our unions are really important to our safety, to have very high standards of performance. They also bring home living wages. And if we don't support our local unions, we won't have them. And if you look at the history of unions, I think it's extremely important. So I would like to have it included that I propose considerations of PLAs, which is private labor agreements that can have a percentage of our products required to be employed. And again, I understand that this is a narrative, but I think that these are some important points that are really getting left behind. Last item, February 25th, page 5, line 46. Let's see here. Okay, so on that, it was, I had inquired with our city attorney about the appraisals and also when they were due, and he informed us that he explains the status of the appraisal. And then also they were going to be coming in next week. We're now, I think, almost 2 months away from that point. So, appraisals were due.
What page are you on again?
That is page 5, revised 26. So from that point, we've been expecting to get these appraisals regarding the power transitions. Certainly, we're expecting to get all of them. And I do understand in the report that there had been some issue with the appraiser using appropriate zoning or not. But that was kind of at the beginning where the council was informed that these appraisals were coming. That's it. We
More added into that.
appraisal next week. Power conditions. Power plant appraisal due next week. I think that would be the most accurate. I appreciate y'all's patience as I go through this. They usually count on Michelle to catch everything.
Thanks for taking such a deep, close look. Appreciate that.
Any other comments on the minutes from council? Any comments from the public on the minutes? Just on the minutes, specifically what happened in the meetings, there will be an opportunity to speak on non-agendized items.
Oh, yeah.
Not yet. I mean, unless are you gonna talk about the minutes?
On the minutes.
Okay, yeah, you can, yeah, go ahead, get up.
Say my name, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Brian Course. Hey, I was reading through the minutes, and do you guys record? How accurate is it? It's recorded that everybody shows up from the public. Does that have any value, or does that have to be 100%, or is it just kind of like,
I mean, you're on the recording of the video
Okay.
and what you state is there, but usually not necessarily descriptive in the minutes.
I just noticed that it'll say like one person showed up, but not the other,
Mhm.
or
It's
is it?
just, I mean, I try and capture as many as I can, but
Okay.
as the meeting goes on, people are coming in and out, I can't do it. So we're not required to capture the actual names of the
Okay.
present, but we try to do as much as we can.
Would like a roll sheet be helpful if we all signed in like a meeting?
To state their names, provide the names, so.
If we chose to, would that be and they being posted that? Like just a roll sheet that we could sign into like other meetings that I've attended in other situations?
I, I think if folks want to be put down as being present, that's a great idea.
Okay. Thank you.
Any corrections on the minutes?
Just the minutes don't reflect it was
Great,
here.
thank you. All right, anyone else from the public? Seeing none, and Zoom's down right now, is that correct?
It says it, but I will also.
What?
I'm trying. Try that in line. Stein. Will it, will it do that if it's in the box?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
The box will, they'll turn itself off.
Awesome.
You just flip it on your shirt.
It's too thin, thank you. I think it's forward.
All right, seeing none, let's bring it back for council for approval of the minutes. So we get a motion to.
Motion to approve
Second.
the corrections, I mean.
Second. So we have a motion to approve with corrected minutes. And you guys need to come back for a further review or? Yeah. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. The first was Elise and second was. All right, moving on to public comment. The public's invited to present. What was that? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Item number 4, reports of council and staff. Does anyone from council wish to speak on any meetings they've attended?
Oh, that's where we go after. You go. I belong to the Waste Management Authority, and we meet every month, and it's quite an exciting meeting, and I am really excited to invite Director Keller Hackman to come and make a presentation at some point in the future on what waste management in Humboldt County is all about and where we're going and what kinds of Senate bills we have to follow and where we're at with organic processing and uh, waste disposal and contracts with haulers and other things like that. So anyway, basically went through a mid-budget review and looked at some RFPs for implementing waste management, organic waste processing into the current waste management system and looking at some other ideas for the future for waste management. So, that's my report.
Great, thank you. Anyone else from council wish to report? Seeing none, go ahead, sorry.
Just was at the REDAC meeting last night, and they provide loans of $10,000 or more to anybody having $1,000. Great organization, very complex financial reporting. So we had about a lot of that. And one of the big takeaways was that is that it's an organization of 4 people that have access to millions of dollars, and they have excellent internal controls. So I think that's something that just because you have a small staff doesn't mean that you can't put in place a good system of oversight and checks and balances and even technology that kind of keeps everything on the straight and narrow. That's miracle.
Great, thank you. Does the public wish to comment on any of these items or not?
Yeah. He's Redwood Region Economic Development Commission.
Great. Moving on to item number A of, or sorry, 4A, city manager report.
Like,
Sorry, I'm still trying. I don't know what is going on with Zoom. Are you guys done with all your council reports? Did I miss? No, nothing to report from everyone else?
No.
Okay. All right. So my city manager report is included in your packet. And if anyone has any questions regarding any projects or any issues, I'm happy to take any questions.
Does anyone have any comments on the city manager report? No comment.
I'm sure I know that I'm the person who must have my opportunity.
One.
Very some curious about praising there's an honestly raising all of some people to pay for the pay. Is that payment that's going to come in the future in the turning out?
So kind of both. So we have completed a large portion of the paving. We still have some paving left to do. We were able to raise enough funds to pay for the paving to date. We had an outstanding balance of about $18,000, and working with Mercer Fraser and Redwood Coast Mountain Biking Association, they were able to solicit an additional donation from Mercer Fraser and then pay the balance of the $18,000 in cash through the fundraising efforts that they had undertaken through. There was a festival and some of their other fundraising events, the Enduro race. So we are currently don't have a balance owed on the paving, and so we're going into the spring fundraising to continue to add more paving to the site.
And so is that revenue staying for
Not so. This is revenue that came into the city, not revenue that came that RCMBA paid directly to Mercer Fraser. So that's separate.
Okay, the city would have been on for the 18,000, right? So you think that's appropriate to
We didn't have any revenue coming in for that. And we didn't have an expense. It was basically a balance that Mercer Fraser was carrying for us to fundraise against. And if the city raised the funds, we would pay it off. If RCMBA or someone else wanted to donate, they would pay it off. So the liability wasn't actually on the city's books at that point.
Okay.
So I think it was our first meeting. We kind of asked for like a detailed, like
Recording in
Recording in
progress. Recording stop.
Yeah, I do have a revenue and expenditure report that I thought that I can provide to council as well. So I just the totals that you have, the revenue to date, the 45,879 came out of the revenue and expenditure report, and the expenditures, the 47,832 are encapsulated in that report. But I can provide that to you, and um, that's an itemized accounting of all of the revenue and expenditures.
I think one question we had was kind of like when the project got approved. We had trouble tracking how the approval process went for the bike park and how it was brought forward.
Yeah, so a number of years ago, the project was initially brought forward to the Planning Commission. We had actually designated that area for recreation because of the setbacks required in the opportunity zone. That piece of property became undevelopable because of its proximity to the trail and to the creek. So it was really only suitable for recreation. So the Planning Commission, we discussed it at the Planning Commission. And it was recommended that it move for recreation uses, and then that ultimately came to the council for approval to move forward with the bike park. So the council took that action to formalize that, and we basically started down the pathway of doing looking for funds and opportunities to develop a bike park. And it was all, there was no money at that time, but the council did designate the land. So the land could be used for leverage for different grants and opportunities. So even though the city hasn't really put in a lot of cash to the project, we have put in land value, which is great. And we've been able to kind of leverage that to look for additional resources. So this was a project that kind of started through the rezoning of the Powers Creek district. Like I said, those setbacks really became kind of a defining scope of what land really could be developed and how. And so that's kind of the process that it went through.
I think part of what John was asking about was the timeline of the actual meetings and motions and actions by the council
Yeah.
that approved the bike park when those things happened. So if you could please at some future time, maybe at our next meeting, if you could give us a rundown of that process. When it went before the planning commission, when it came to the council, I recall as a council member approving your application to a grant. I don't recall ever hearing about what happened to that particular grant. I don't recall ever being part of the discussion where the bike park was approved to be built. So I'd just like to see where all that happened in planning. Please.
So is this something that we have to make a direction on as a council, that's coming up next time? Or how
I
does
can
it
provide
work?
you the information. That's not a problem.
Well,
I mean, is there like a further discussion you want for the bike park, or?
so it's a concern that, when we had a request in January to kind of see this sooner to come to fruition, I do appreciate that you're busy. However, sometimes I find that the things that are requested by council just sort of fall off, and I know you had suggested whole business or continued business listing, so that you kind of keep track of these items. I agree too. I think it's becoming burdensome to have 4 or 5 council people and trying to piece together so many expensive information. So, but for me, I very much want to be able to see all money, all kind of materials spent on this, broken out by department, correct? Where that money came from, if it's general fund, or if it's grant, or if it's donation. Basically, we need a full accounting on this project. That's kind of the only way that we can really be informed on where our project stands. So that's that would be my request, is to basically forward accounting specific to that project to include, the planning and development stages.
I would support that as well.
And just so you're aware, this is the second time we have asked for accounting for this project.
Well, I thought that's what I was providing you, the revenue and expenditures, what's come in and what's come out. So I can provide you the detailed reports. That's no problem. It's all coded and you can pull that report.
And then with this, to include those, meetings with the planning commission and your discussions with council relevant to for the latest plan.
Any other comments on city manager report?
Yes. So I'm working to, I know that we've, with the facility permits and, I guess I'm looking at the thought, for this, but, it sounds like I guess my first question is this. So it's kind of really different some work and what are the current, like, what are we spending, like, these equipment or repairs, and where is that money coming from? What fund is that?
Sure. So through our park facilities, because it is a park facility, we have upgraded. We had to do a plumbing upgrade. We had to put in an air gap, which previously had been approved through the permit process. We had a different system that had been approved by environmental health, and that's why our permit was issued. With the new
Which permit was issued?
environmental health, the permitting agency for food facilities.
And yeah, I think I understand that. I mean, like back in 2019, 2020, we're talking now 2023 or now 2025. I mean, is that you were previously permitted for that?
We were previously permitted. We had an active full prep kitchen permit up till 2023, at which time additional inspections took place by environmental health. And at that point, the facility up through 2023 had been permitted as a full prep kitchen. So when the facility was re-inspected by new inspectors, the new inspector required an air gap versus the prior inspector had signed off on. We have a pump system that provides separation and met the requirements, but the new inspector required an air gap. We had to install a screen on the serving window, just a small screen, pass-through screen. And we had to have the hood, we needed a new hood inspection.
So, but you can't do, and I see that's also in your one as well. What I'm asking is, how much does it cost you for these inspections? How much does it cost you for the time? How much does it cost you for the, and what funds are paying for all of those incidents?
So the funds are coming from our facilities, our parks facilities fund, because like I said, it is a park facility. And I'll have to get you the amounts.
Okay. And I'm just curious, does that get coded?
Yes.
And it's kind of, okay.
Well, not all of it's capital.
Can you give it just a ballpark estimate? I don't do credit your report. I'm sorry.
I don't think I have the.
Okay. Okay, so that, we've had multiple inspections there. All right.
So on the city corporation yard,
Mhm.
there was talk about doing like a financial analysis of that, and we were wondering if you said you already had something available. When will council be shown or presented with the financial?
I actually provided that to Councilmember Napier because she had asked about financial analysis, and I can provide it to the rest of the council as well. So we had received a grant, I think it was in 2020 through USDA to do a financial analysis for the city to help direct us on what were our best options to start looking at economic development, where would be the best opportunities to kind of focus interests based upon kind of our current situation, the focus on recreation. And so we received funding and hired a contractor to come in and analyze the community, analyze our amenities and kind of help look at what were some of the foundational amenities necessary to kind of start this kind of economic resurgence. So he had recommended immediately looking at food. That's one of the things. We have a lot of recreation facilities, but we didn't have ways to really feed people. When parents were here in the park with their kids and they got hungry, they would have to leave Blue Lake to be able to eat and stay longer. So food and drinks was a high priority for investment. And so that report is, I can provide copies to all of council as well.
So I do recall you bringing the report to me, and I appreciate it. I think it's really excellent report that kind of it describes overall what my calling economic development in the zone, and it kind of specifies different things we could do with that. But specific to what President in regards to the city board and all those projections for the city corporate yard, what would it look like if we didn't do anything? What would it look like if we sell it? What would it look like if we lease it? What does it look like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now? How much would it cost to clean it up? How much does it cost to build a corporate building? So these were the projections that we were pretty specific about that we were requesting from corporate.
Okay.
Thank you.
I know that we've touched on it a few times in the past where our policy very deep in the handbook is that any information given to one council member should go to all of them. So I'd really like for that to be observed because, I've not heard of that study that you just mentioned, and I would love to take a look at that. So I think that anytime any one of us asks for some nebulous piece of information and you produce something, it should go to all of us. So we can all try to get on the same page in some fashion. Thank you.
Let's go on the city corporate yard. I'm not understanding how the city is now moving forward with the purchase proposal that's been sent to the city attorney for formalization of purchase agreement. So I don't see that as matching at all with what council had directed it into.
We were directed to work with the potential buyer on a purchase agreement that would include benchmarks for council to look at as far as what it would look like to have a sale, including asking them to provide site plan, description of types of activities they would be proposing at the site, and for that to be brought back to council with ideas on how to control the sale to reach the objectives that council wanted to reach, which would be development that provides sales tax revenue and additional investment in the Powers Creek district. So that's what Russ and I were directed to do. We've had the meeting with the potential buyer and talk with them about what that could look like, working possibly with an architect, providing a site plan for council to review and having a thorough description of what those business proposals would be.
I don't remember though recommending we enter into exclusive negotiating agreement.
We were already in one before you guys came on as council.
What was that here on that exclusive agreement?
I off the top of my head, I can't remember. The prior entered into that.
Okay, 5 years ago.
No.
A year ago. We can and then compare again that contract meeting dates. An exclusive right to negotiate in perpetuity. So
I don't have the agreement in front of me, but you had given us the directive. We met with council and you met with your attorney to talk about this and the next steps to take, and that's.
and I think that I disagree strongly with what my understanding is on what council had been directed. I think you need to make a closed session item. probably think about the same way.
Disagree. But, okay.
Any further comment from council before we open it up to the public? Go ahead and open up the public for comment on the city manager's report. It's on the manager's report, yes.
Rebecca Collins, I just wondered about this Calgon Carbon. It's at the very bottom, so you've been working with owners to buy that property? Is that what this means? So it says further investment into redevelopment of beside the property owners and have procured the services of a demo contractor. We have met with contractor on several occasions to review their demolition plan along with community requirements. So are we buying the Calgon plan? That's my question. Because that's the first I've heard.
City manager, Mayor, do you want to respond to that?
No, the city is not buying the carbon plant, but we have been working with the property owners. The property owners have sold their business years ago and had this property as kind of an outlier to that sale because they were expecting it to be sold to a new operator. And when that fell through, they basically have kind of had this defunct plant that's been sitting there. And so they've been working with the city to we help work with them to rezone the property. So it's now zoned opportunity. They also worked with the city to give up their operating permits. And we have been working with them to look at what options that property could present for future development, including helping to connect them with potential investors, and also working with them through the demolition process to look at their permits for demolition and making sure that all of those permits are in place prior to that plant being dismantled.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other comments from? Go ahead.
Glenn. So just regarding the discussion that was just having about the right to negotiate and the things that are happening and proceeding with that. Who was on the negotiating committee? I missed the last meeting, but the meeting before that was discussed. Are there any council members on the negotiating committee? Because there always have been in the past other similar um, negotiations, and I'm just wondering why the council wouldn't be represented on the negotiating committee. That's kind of confusing to me. So that was my question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. That's a really good question. And
You can't comment too much.
right. So I think that a future agenda item perhaps needs to address them.
Previously, the mayor was on that negotiating team.
Julie Christie, go ahead. Good.
Most of our council is gurgled. We can hear Mandy very well. Rebecca and Lynn, I was able to hear you guys very well. I do agree with member Stefani that a lot of these items could warrant a future agenda. I'm going to go to our report for Danco. The next steps will be for Danco, we'll work with the city planner on the final submittal to the planning commission. I'm curious, I can't access the calendar right now on the website, but we have a special planning commission meeting coming up. And if that is going to be the item at that meeting, if we can disclose that sooner than later, that'd be awesome. And digging into manager's report, anytime we can dig out something of importance to the council and the public as an agenda item, I definitely support that because there's a lot in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Christie. We've got just hands up around. Terry Bayless, go ahead.
Yes, I had a question based on the in transitions because the February 20th presentation that was given under an information item only, and the council did not take any action or give any direction that night. So I guess I'm curious to know how in the manager's report we've now moved on that indeed it's a fact that we're negotiating or we're working on a 20 megawatt project. And if we are going by what the city attorney talked about that night in his PowerPoint presentation, that project, I guess I'm a little confused because I've never heard the city council bring it to an agenda item or say that they for sure were moving in that direction, because that was an information item and a member of the public brought that up. So it, according to the Brown Act, you wouldn't really be able to take action on it or give direction. So I'm wondering how we've moved in this direction if the council's never taken action or given direction. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Terry. Any more comments on Zoom? Last call for comments from the public. Bring it back to council for any further discussion.
I do, sorry, with item 4A, our lot project. Council has received any documents in turn that they requested through our attorney Ruskins. These would be all the legal documents, including all the contracts, change orders, contracts, all plans and specifications, all changes to the same, and a complete law and count from the principles to the project, including the limited to Danco, city staff, its representatives, and the architect design firm. Basically, this project has been around for a while and has morphed many, many times. And I think that this council should be able to be apprised of where it began and what has been proposed in leases and where we are today. We kind of have to do a real accounting again of how did this start? Where are we today? And have we followed the appropriate path? So, given that, I can't see it doing another presentation on it right now. I mean, until council can have that information in hand, I don't know why we'd want to spend any other time, any other energy on that in another direction until council, who's going to be deciding ultimately, is able to really apprise itself of, I think, some really pertinent information.
A or A. Do you know, do we have a timeline when we're going to see what their proposal is? Because
So that project is moving through the planning process. It goes to the planning commission first. We've talked about kind of the separation between the planning commission and the city council, because you guys are, the planning commission can take action and you guys are the appealing body to the planning commission. So keeping the project through an appropriate course of review is what's been happening. It is a long process. It's a big project. There's lots of details. There's been lots of reports and analysis and CEQA and to get to a point where it will be moving to the planning commission for review and consideration. So that's why it doesn't go to the council. It goes through the planning commission.
And I'm not questioning why it hasn't come to the council. I'm saying that I think the council needs to make sure that there's a clear path between its origination and to where we are right now. And we aren't able to do that because we really don't have any information. So if the attorney was here, and I think we'll have to follow up, we'll just have to compel their attorney to provide this to us. We made that request. Nothing has come back. I think it's on this.
Is it just the DDA that you?
Everything that I just read, the drawings, the specifications, any change orders, the calendars, the contracts. There are no drawings. There are no specifications. There are no
That's what's
change
going to be
orders.
submitted to the planning
And
commission.
that's still something that is something that council could see at this time. And that's what was requested, and we haven't received contracts.
I would have to clarify the process. Like I said,
We would
there's
like
a
to
clear
clarify that with
process
you, with
for
the
council
attorney.
and the planning commission
Okay.
so that projects go through a process. And like I said, council is the appealing body to the planning commission.
I
So for
understand
that process to circumvent
Mhm.
and go to the council first before, we would have to get some direction. I've never seen that happen before.
Okay, again, I'm not trying to circumvent planning commission, and I really value the separation between those two. They really, it's very unique when you look at all the makeup and the purpose of the different commissions, and clearly it's a different path, and I understand we're appellate body to it. What I'm saying is that where we are right now with this particular project, I think we need to clarify and confirm that we were where we should be, and we can't do this without this information. So if I think I would like to be part of that conversation with her attorney because I have some specific questions and concerns about this. So I'm asking that I be able to join in that conversation, and so we can move this forward.
Great. Okay. No, I mean, I agree. We did ask for those documents. Yeah.
Is it just the disposition development agreement? Is it
No,
all-
I think we asked for a full timeline on the project. Like
I mean, that's all we
inception.
Shortcut.
is the DDA. We don't, there's no change orders, there's no plan specifications, changes, anything. It's been going through a process of design and review, CEQA, all of that. There hasn't been any changes to anything. I'm not sure what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, like there was meetings happening that you said were happening, and I
We
asked,
have planning.
can I finish? And then I asked if I could attend those meetings, and you said, oh, those aren't happening anymore. Then later you told us they were happening. So I'm questioning why those meetings were removed from my calendar if those meetings weren't happening.
Those were the
Wait,
initial
what?
meetings that the mayor, that Adeline had been going to a while back.
Right, and I
And
asked you, I'm
she-
like, should I be attending these? And you're like, those aren't happening. But then you later told me they were happening. So which one is
That
it?
level of meeting wasn't happening anymore. That was the initial meetings talking about the project, and that those meetings ceased to happen. The new meetings that have been taking place have all been project based. So it's with the architects and engineers and the planners.
But then why after I brought those up were they removed from my calendar?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. I don't control your calendar. It may have just been because Adelaine's name was changed or you're linked to her account as the mayor. I don't know,
Okay.
but I don't control the calendars. And like I said, keeping the projects separate from council to planning, the way it's the state that it's at now, I think is really important to.
Again, not trying to circumvent planning commission, not trying to override planning commission. What I'm saying first is we need to have a full timeline, and second, from when the city first entered into the arrangement with Danville on the Ballot project, what that project was and what was presented to the city and through town hall, it seems like it has morphed considerably since then. And so, for us to have an understanding of where we are today, I think it's important that the council be able to see these changes, its origin to now. And there are changes to retail space, there's a change to the number of units, there's a change to the number of the affordable versus the median income. What's significant, and we think that they're important for residents now in this data, a lot of that for the council to know to be able to make an informed decision. So again, this is not trying to prevent or circumvent or override the planning commission. This is about the council being informed and our public being informed. Thank you.
Isn't there a reason why another designee of the council could not begin attending these meetings?
I'm really not sure. Like I said, I think the issue has been that separation. So if the planning commission makes a recommendation to the council and the council is in a position to appeal or make a decision on that, the problem is having a council member who's been part of that process you would have to recuse yourself, I guess, from the process is what I would anticipate. So I think that's why those separations have been in place so that the full council can participate at the appropriate time so that the project comes forward. If you enter in prior to that, then you're you can't be on the appealing body of the project. I mean that's I'm not an attorney, so I can get you can get some legal clarification, but that's been the thought process.
And that makes great sense, but I think that they would still be able to establish a quorum. So I think going into it knowing that an individual might not be able to participate if it comes to review, as a second tier after the planning commission. I think it is more important that the council be apprised and involved and know every step of the way as we move forward on these projects. Just my opinion.
Experience throw this out. Council is also private members of the public and entitled to public records. And all of the invites become public when the planning commission puts its agenda out, these kinds of things. So when those are available, as members of the public, allow to avail yourselves to that information as well. You don't have to wait for it to come directly to these chapters to call.
I appreciate that, Danielle, but what I'm saying is that council has already had to make decisions without that information. So waiting for planning commission to receive that and then have that come up to us, we're asking for this in advance. We have to make decisions and we're having to make them blind. That's my point.
Any other discussion on the city manager's report? Seeing none, let's move on to item 4B. Financial reports.
Great. So some of you have met Danny, not everyone has. So I wanted to introduce Danny Burkhart. She is our new, she's going to be our new Vicky. Even though we know we can't replace our Vicky, we are hoping that we can provide her with some relief and she can retire. And I know that she'll be back to help us in a lot of ways. But Danny comes from a very eclectic background. We're really excited to have her. She's got a background in accounting. She's also got a background in planning, environmental issues, and she's been very involved in local government. So she's been exposed to boards and commissions and councils and that process. Formerly, she was working for the city of Eureka in their accounting department. She also lives in Blue Lake, so that's super exciting that she is a local. So we're very excited to have her, and she's already helping us in a lot of ways. A lot of our systems are kind of on the outer edge of aging out and trying to look at how we start to use some new technologies and new programs and softwares. Danny's really good at that, and she's really jumped in to really learn our systems, and I think so far she's a great fit, and we're excited to have her. So she prepared the financial report with Scott, our accountant, and so I'm going to go ahead and let her kind of introduce herself and present the report that you all have. We are looking at ways to provide monthly financial reports to council, and so this is an opportunity for you guys to look at what she's put together here. It's just kind of an intro, and then if you have specific questions or needs or want information presented in I'm happy to work with you to do that.
Great, thank you.
So pretty much just to echo what Mandy said, my background does come from a variety of areas here in Humboldt County. I've served in government for about 5 years now. I also have run for positions of government, so I've been where you are, and so I can appreciate both sides of where we sit here as a city. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve as your guys' financial manager. I'm very stoked to be part of this team and get us heading in a little more well-oiled, streamlined fashion when it comes to your financial reporting. So you have a lot more of the tools that you're looking to have to make these decisions that you want to make. Basically, one thing I just wanted to point out, if you saw the performance review thing, it's kind of hard to read in grayscale. So here's a handy high contrast version for you. This is a fancy way of saying we're 67% of the way through our fiscal year, and we are doing pretty well on track with, once you look at our major funds, we're staying on budget or under budget thanks to grants and increased revenues. we are on track for a lot of things. If you look in your more detailed financial report that Scott and I put together for you, that gets into the more granular nitty-gritty stuff. If you ever have any questions about that kind of thing, definitely happy to chat with you about it and make sure you have the understanding you're looking for on those subjects. Fund accounting can be not so fun. And so, especially for the general public, I mean, guys, if you ever have any questions, my goal is to be accessible. So please let me have your questions so we can get a mutual understanding and all work from the same page. That's my goal as a public servant. So I want us to all be operating on the same page. So one of the things you'll note in your extensive financial reviews that will probably end up bringing you guys some amendments next month for the budget. There's just a couple of little places that need a little attention, and that's normal for this time of the year where we're heading into the end of the fiscal year, and so we want to make sure our books are all correct for our close of the year. And so budget amendments are going to be part of your normal agenda, just to kind of give you that heads up. And then for future things you can expect from me. First off, since I'm still getting into your books and figuring out what's what and who's who in your zoo, it's going to take me a minute to get up to speed. So these reports are going to be really basic at first, and then we're going to go and increase on the the intensity of these reports as we get further along. You're going to see me a lot more when we get to the budgeting. We're all gonna be best friends about budgeting, and and we're gonna get that done towards the end of the fiscal year. And then once we've kind of got our legs under us, you can expect regular reports in a regular format. We'll be tailoring some of these reports more to the timely concerns of the council and things that are up and coming issues, in addition to our standardized reports that you're used to seeing. So if you have any questions, I appreciate your moment of time there. I'm happy to help. Please go easy. It's my first time.
Softball question. What software do we use for accounting?
We currently use a very robust accounting system called MIP.
Okay.
And I'm not going to get into too many details on that because that is something, that's not typically we discuss publicly, but it is very robust. It does a lot of the information accounting that we need to do. We are getting ready to prepare initializing some more modules so we can streamline some more of our processes, making sure that we're handling bill payments on time, and getting some of these reports to be a little bit more granular in the ways that are more useful to us and not just for auditors. That's one of the things that you got to take a balance between what you're doing to prep for the auditors and what you're doing for what you need for yourself to be able to continue moving forward with solid decision making.
Would you say that the Powers Creek District Fund ran a significant deficit in the last 8 months?
There is a reason that things will run deficits in different periods of time. And a lot of that has to do with when we receive reimbursement from the county and state for grants, and when we get our taxes in. Those all happen at different parts of the year. So in certain parts of the year, it will look like we're running a deficit until we've received those monies. It's just kind of a timing function that happens. And then there's always, when we have to do transfers from other funds to cover things that might have been, like, for instance, sometimes when we get an invoice and it looks like it's for one thing, but it gets coded for that thing, but then we go back and go, oh no, that goes to that project. Then we do what's called a journal entry to correct that, make sure it gets coded to the correct place, and that will affect also your potential deficits and timing issues there.
The Powers Creek Fund also encapsulates some of our capital improvements. So like the town square runs through that. So sometimes these funds are also tracking mechanisms. So the revenues and expenditures, they run through the fund, but we track them separately. So you'll see like grant reimbursements will come in later. So for like the town square, because it's a recreation development. It ran through the Powers Creek. It was an expanded fund. It used to just be the Industrial Park Expansion Fund, and then the council expanded that to kind of have a larger context for the city. So as those projects expenses run through that fund, those reimbursements will come in after, and so you'll see, those deficits, and then you'll see them equalize.
Would you say that, sorry, it's just for clarification, do we have a $130,000 deficit in Parks and Rec?
In Parks and Rec,
No.
that might be a grant reimbursement. I'd have to see what it
It's
is.
page 2 of the staff report.
Yeah. Hold on.
There, just before the financial report.
Right.
Stats report.
There we go. We'll have to talk to Scott more about that one to get a clearer answer. I don't believe that we are in a deficit there. I think that it is because we're waiting for transfers in. That double check on that with Scott and get the council an answer on that.
It might be state park per capita grant too. Coming into that fund.
Isn't the state park per capita grant long exhausted? Like long ago?
Yeah, but we have reimbursements pending still. So we, because we did the roof and a bunch of other projects. So there's still reimbursements out there.
So the roof is being paid by that grant?
Yes.
On Fund 42 on page 14, exhibit show $41,000 versus $1.
Sorry, can you repeat that page number?
Yeah, 14. Yeah, 42.
Page 14 is Fund 61. Mine is page 11. It's
Sorry about that.
Okay, so we're talking about Fund 42, is that right? Okay. And then you wanted to know what was it attributed to?
Right.
Which part, the salaries part?
No, this is, I don't want to clear up the, what it was, what it was for.
Oh, CDBG. So that is our community development block grant. And those exist over 2 different funds that we take from payments in. And then we have also a fund where we're paying the loans back out to different projects. And not all of those funds we're required to reinvest into the loans fund. We are allowed to recapitalize like interest and things like that back to the income holding fund. And so basically it's just holding the payments that we're taking from the community development accounts that were already given out.
And sometimes those loans get paid off. So we had a loan payoff this year, I believe, for about $25,000. So sometimes money comes in as loans get paid off. There's years where we don't have loan payoffs. There's times where we have loan payoffs that meet a higher threshold, and those have to go back. But if they stay with under, I think it's like 35,000, then the city can retain those funds. And so the money comes into the income holding fund before it gets dispersed into different funds based upon kind of its allocation status.
Any other questions on finance from council?
So 67% would be.
We're at 67% of budget, and we're definitely not budget.
Mm-hmm.
So considerably over the issue comes in play.
Right, and that's generally when you would see budget amendments show up for things that are over budget that would cause the whole budget to be off. So then there's like things like salaries, things like that sometimes get spent a little higher than what we originally thought would be for that budget. And if there's not another place that it makes sense to put it, then that's when you see a budget amendment.
We also have our funds come in at different times. So our taxes come in at different times. We just received our property tax allocation, but we haven't received our motor vehicle taxes. And so you'll see still running a deficit in the taxes, but those normally come in at the end of the year and catch themselves up. So there's times where we're doing, usually our budget amendments are additional revenue coming in. And we also do, sometimes prepay, we'll prepay some of our CalPERS and some of our liabilities get prepaid up front. And so they don't catch up until kind of the end of the year because they get prepaid up front and then spread across the fiscal year. So those sometimes skew kind of how those numbers look.
So expenditures for the most part should be on track. Revenue may be behind.
It depends, though. It does depend. I mean, there can be times we front load or end load projects. Public Works is a perfect example. We don't start doing a lot of work on streets until May, June, July. So we run right. We do a lot of, we don't do a lot of expenditures up front, and then we'll end load that because the weather is good and it's the time when we can actually get out and start doing work. So it doesn't always go across, that every month you're spending a certain percentage. It just depends on what type of projects you have and, when the need and when the capacity is there to do those projects.
So I'm going to bring up a little history. For last year, our general fund went over budget by roughly 36%. And we didn't know about that expenditure until after till June. We knew part of it in June, and we learned the rest of it in July. And so my concern is that even though we're tracking on track right up through February, which is where we are now, and tracking for amazing, what's preventing us from having a budget year like we did last year? That just all snowballs at the very end of the year. I mean, that's a major concern of mine because we went $370 over budget last year of our general fund. And I know some of that, but I think around 30% that was cost recovery, but the rest of it's not.
I was going to say, I think that's not an accurate representation, though, of the end result, because we also had increased revenues.
Yes, we did. Questions for general. We increased revenue, kind of a godsend. But at the same time, we overspent well above the increased revenue. So I'm feeling really uncertain about I just see the numbers from here at I can but seeing what happened last year makes me just question parts of the process and the dependability of that. Like what's preventing another year like that from happening where presumably all these invoices and all these things all come in at the end of the year and and then there you go. And another budget amendment for another 200 grand. That's not something I want to do after the fact. If something's happening, I want to see it up front. I feel like the council should have the ability to say, yeah, let's go forward with this and go ahead and spend that extra money because whatever. But I don't ever want to be looking at financials at the end of June or in July and say, oh yeah, by the way, we spent, too much money last year. So let's do an amendment to cover that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Your concerns are totally well founded. It's something we definitely want to be keeping an eye on. Unfortunately, the nature of the beast is such that that kind of thing does regularly happen at all levels of government. So whether you're in a city of 1,200 people or you're in a city like Eureka, this is something that does normally occur. And budget amendments are a normal part of government finance process. We do our best to account for things in advance and be proactive as much as possible to make sure that we're giving you the full and complete picture every single month that we can possibly give you. But there are things that do come up and they're not always within our control to be able to say, hey, we could have saw this coming, and we'd like to warn you, but it just popped up out of nowhere. And those kinds of things do occur. And we do our best to mitigate and account for that as much as possible to try and prevent that from arising.
We also do a lot of projections at the beginning of the year, trying to set a budget, including when our projects come in and are delivered. And so I know last year we had project expenses that we didn't anticipate coming in that fiscal year, but we were able to get far enough ahead in some of our construction projects. So we were ahead of schedule on some construction that we had projected would go over into the next fiscal year. So that's not necessarily a bad thing because those revenues are there to reimburse it. It's just a timing issue of, do we project that we're going to be complete with construction at the end of June 30th, or are we going to be at 80% and we're going to be 20% is going to roll into, the next fiscal year? If we are ahead of schedule, we're going to have those expenditures in that fiscal year that we didn't project, but it's not a bad thing because those revenues are also there to pay those costs. It's just shifting it from one budget year to the next. And we had a lot of additional revenues that came in that caught up when we brought the budget back. It was to pay for those increased costs. We had the increased revenue to pay for it. It's just timing. Some of these funds come in at different times, and it's really a projection when you're setting your budget for the year. But wholly, we shouldn't be over expending. We're managing our revenues, and a lot of our stuff is grant based. Everything else is pretty stagnant, but most things, and there's times where we bring in a grant, that we hadn't anticipated. So that's additional revenue, that's additional work, and those things have to be accounted for through a budget amendment.
Well, I'm fine with your explanation. I just, looking back on what happened last year and trying to reconcile that, I know that, our landscape in City Hall is changing. Danny's here and she's going to be doing things differently. But I feel like last year was really, I don't know if it was unusual, honestly. But I feel like when so much of our capital improvement, different things are going through other funds, to have the general fund be in that situation, it was really concerning. So, and also when I tried to go through the documents and even met with Scott, it was like there just didn't seem to be really good explanations. Just, oh, the invoices came in later, and to me that's kind of a thin reason. I mean, I feel like $200,000 worth of invoices and $1 million budget. That's a big chunk. So it seems like that needs to be forecast, and we need to know that those things are coming.
Or I think you just have to have a reasonable expectation. If those invoices are project based, they're grant based, they're going to be reimbursed, and we're just ahead of schedule on a project,
Yes,
and we didn't anticipate it.
but I don't know
it's
that
not
they,
a bad thing.
Sure,
It's
sure.
not a negative.
Yeah, I don't know that those were project based. I have no idea what they were, honestly. They were here and all over the place, but I don't believe they were all project based. So that's my concern.
Any other comments on the financial report?
I just was wondering if Danny could kind of spitball some percentages. When you look at the budget for the city, and I understand you're new here, but how much would you say roughly, what percentage of our overall budget is for, staff and materials for public works? What percentage for Parks and Rec? What percentage for admin? Just
I
any
honestly
sense.
couldn't give you that, and I just helped Scott finish the financial transactions report for the state controller's office, and that's an ask, and I can get you that information, but and I'm happy to do it. But it's definitely not something I'm prepared to give you off the top of my head right now.
Well, like I said, it was just a spit. I understand you're just new with the figures, but would love to have it, but you would want to check in with your city manager on that.
Any other comments on the financial report? Seeing none, I'll open up to the public. Anyone in the public wish to talk about finances?
I know you're excited.
Good time for public comments.
Public comment right after this, yeah. Sorry for the delay. Terry Bayless, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have, because as a member of the public, I know that I worked for a public entity as well for 30 years, and we always got every single month all of the receipts, disbursements, fund balances that were clearly designated as which fund things were happening in. And I know that the California Government Code 41004 does say that regularly, at least once each month, the city treasurer shall submit to the city clerk a written report, an accounting of all receipts, disbursements, and fund balances. And the city treasurer shall file a copy with the legislative body. It would be nice if that could be in the packet, since it's supposed to happen every month, so the public could also be abreast of what things are being spent, dispersed, and those balances on a regular basis. Thank you.
The warrants and disbursements are
It's
included every month.
okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Really go ahead.
I just wanted to welcome and thank Danny. She sounds like an awesome piece to add to our city. And I really appreciate all our council members that kind of dove into this financial report. I really appreciate all your guys' thoughtfulness on it and your continued thoughtfulness on all the items that face us. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Last call for public comment. We'll bring it back to council for final comments. Seeing none, go ahead and bring it back. No more comments. Let's move on to item number 5, public comment. All right. The public is invited to present opinions, make announcements, provide other information to the city council that is relevant to the scope of the authority of the city of Blue Lake that is not on the agenda. The council may provide up to 15 minutes for the public input session. To ensure that each individual's presentation is heard, the council may uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address items that are on the agenda at the time the council takes up each specific item. We're open for public comment. Yes, go ahead. Sure.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Danny. Really appreciate it. So I have had some problems with public record requests, and I have brought 4 of them with me. And I just want to let, and I'll be giving these to Mandy. I actually am going to be asking for all the USDA plus any other grants received for the commercial kitchen, snack shack, serving booth, and any other information to it. I will also be looking for missing managers reports. I have 44 of them in the last 10 years I cannot find. And I also want to know all contract services that the city has. So the planners, your risk management, whoever else is contracted with the city. My biggest one that I'm going to be giving to Mandy tonight for my public record request is the state park per capita grant. I've been tracking this for 2 years, and I still am missing over $75,000 in receipts, grant expenditures, and I know there's some that are still coming in, but I have all of it here, but I can seem to still be missing about $75,000. So that's what I came here to speak for tonight. So thank you, and Andy, for being nice to you.
Anyone else in the public with comment on agenda items? Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
First thing I wanted to ask is, are you still supporting having power transitions put a plant by the river over there in the industrial park?
We can't really comment on that. We can comments. We can't answer questions. We don't really answer questions during this phase, but you're welcome to make comments about that. Like you could say, I don't like that idea, or I like that idea.
Okay. Well, the thing I wanted to mention is it'll be a horrible idea if you give them permission to go and poison the river and everyone's drinking water. And unless they're giving you a lot of money, I can't even see any possible reason for letting them do it. The only reason they want to put it right by a river, and almost all those battery storage facilities are right by waterways, so they can dump the wastewater in a happy place. And your number one job and responsibility to the rest of Humboldt County, everybody gets their drinking water just downstream from here. And your number one job and responsibility is not to poison the Mad River. And to let something like that happen is hopeful. I mean, there'll just be tons of toxic materials there. And if there isn't a fire or anything like that, it'll just be ongoing pollution into the river, poisoning everybody. And if you can't see that, you really should at least consider the possibility because it's just horrible. And if your reasoning for doing it is because they'll get rid of your first big mistake, having the wood fire power plant there, that's just insane, totally insane. You're replacing steel and wood there with tons and tons of toxic metals, Put your cell phone battery in your coffee and drink it and see what happens, because that's what you're doing to everybody in the county that gets water from the river. And people are going to curse you in your graves if you poison us all
Thank
for
you.
nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Think about the consequences of what you do.
Appreciate it. Any other public? Yes, go ahead.
My name is Lynn Glenn. I'm a member of Blue Lake CERT team and also a member of Redwood Coast Tsunami Work Group. And I wanted to say that tomorrow, March 26th at 11 a.m., there's going to be the National Weather Service, and our group is going to be promoting the North Coast Tsunami Drill. And at 11 a.m., what that means is you'll be getting a reverse message from the Office of Emergency Services on your phone. So what should you do? Well, in Blue Lake, we're not in the tsunami zone. However, you might be.
So the guy in the back?
Yeah.
Would you guys mind being quiet in the back? Thank you. Continue, sorry.
Yeah, so in Blue Lake, we're not in the tsunami zone. However, anyone could be in the tsunami zone at 11 a.m. or any time that there happens to be a tsunami alert. So if you are in a tsunami zone, you should walk out, not drive, to a safe place. And every place in Humboldt County, you can walk out to a safe place in 10 minutes, which for a near source tsunami, and this is a near source tsunami drill, you can get to a safe place by walking. Number two, if you're not in the zone, don't over evacuate, which means don't do anything. You can treat it like an earthquake drill. So drop if you can, cover and hold on or stay put. Do not move within 5 feet because most injuries happen when people are moving. But there will not be a test of the emergency alert system, like no sirens, because that was done on the 5th of December during the earthquake that we all experienced. And there were some lessons learned during that earthquake. One of the lessons was that many people did get into their cars and drove into the tsunami zone and stayed there because there was a traffic jam. So that's why we're saying do not drive, walk out of the zone. Other thing is check ahead of time whether or not the places that you work or go to or your kids have school in, because the USGS map crashed when was waited until that time to find out, am I in the tsunami zone? So know ahead of time. If you go to Costco a lot, like I do, yeah, it's in the tsunami zone. Where should you walk out to? Go out to Caltrans. So this is a good time doing this drill to check those things, to make sure that you know where you are and what you'll do in a tsunami alert. The other thing is on the 5th, again, don't over evacuate because people who didn't even have to evacuate, who had not checked, got into their cars. And again, they got stuck in traffic in the tsunami zone. And in the large earthquakes that we all heard about in Indonesia, some in Japan, a number of people died in their cars stuck in traffic in the tsunami zone. So those are lessons learned. I hope everyone can take part in this drill. Treat it like an earthquake drill if you're here in Blue Lake. Check your plans and be safe. So thank you very much.
So Lynn, I have a question. I wasn't able to hear the first part about it. Are you saying that we will not be alerted at 11 o'clock, or will there be a signal of some kind for us to begin the drill?
There will be a signal, the reverse alert system through Office of Emergency Services if you're signed up for it. Okay. So hopefully everyone is signed up. You might get an email if you're signed up. It depends on how you're signed up. that there should be an alert. But if you don't get one, just look at 11 o'clock and do evacuate or don't.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to comment on non-agendized items? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and take it up to Zoom, or yes, go ahead.
Tomorrow.
Julie, go ahead.
Thank you. I want to concur with Becky. Public records is something of concern. We still have a lot of, you guys need the research and timeline on Danco, on the Eisners. Eisners are all in Justin's recordings. I think that was back around July. So just always remember the archive of videos. That's going to give you better details on anything that happened versus minutes. But we do have a big chunk of recordings that never were allowed to be public preview between Access Humboldt and Justin recording that I've requested for years and years. They were recorded on Zoom. We were told we're not allowed to have them because of how council conducted themselves, but everything that happened during those meetings is very crucial at this point in time now with the discussion of Danco. I did ask during the manager's report if the special meeting for the planning commission is going to be in the direction of Danco. I mean, we really do need to let the public know that. It does say in the manager's report that is next step. And we have a special meeting coming up, so I'm just adding 1 and 2. So I would like some clarification on that more sooner than later as a public participant. I could barely dive through the agenda tonight. It was insane to get that 4 days and to digest it all and to be prepared. So I think breaking in our meetings into smaller special meetings, especially big hot ticket items like we have tonight, that should be special meeting items. And so we're evolving. I know that, and we're taking our time to process everything, and I love it. I want to continue that. I just want to discontinue the hiding of public information and cramming everything in for last minute decisions with you guys not being knowledgeable and comfortable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on Zoom wish to comment? Lori, go ahead.
Hi, I was at the meeting, had to come home, something I needed to do, but I just wanted to throw out there that we are having a potluck this Saturday from 11 to 2 at the Grange. And I just want to make sure that anybody that's listening knows they're invited, and bring a dish, come with a friend, meet some new friends, and we hope to see you there. Thanks.
Thank you. Last call for public comment. Yes, go ahead. Real quick.
So it's Green Waste Day on Saturday, right?
Sure.
Okay, what are the hours?
9 to 4.
9 to 4. Thank you.
Following Saturday, this
Coming Saturday is Green Waste Day. Yes.
it's already 11 o'clock.
9 to 4.
Last call for public comment. All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to council. Moving on to item number 6. Consent agenda. Does anyone wish anything pulled from the consent agenda?
6B.
6B. All right, pulling 6B. Is there any other warrants or disbursements or the proclamation that we need pulled? Can we
We
go?
do have a representative here from the North Coast Rape Crisis Team that would like to talk about the proclamation.
Sure, sounds good. We'll go ahead and let them speak, and then we'll move on to item 6.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Sepulveda. And so first we would like to thank thank you to the Blue Lake City Council for supporting Sexual Assault Awareness Month being in April, and also for the work that we do here with the North Coast Rape Crisis Team. So for over 50 years, NCRCT has been providing essential and free services to survivors of sexualized violence here within Humboldt County. And as well as Del Norte County. These do include a 24-hour bilingual crisis line. It includes accompaniment to evidence collection exams, support through law enforcement and criminal processes, crisis counseling and financial assistance for survivors and their families. Last year alone, we assisted over 599 survivors in Humboldt County, and our services are available regardless of whether survivors are involved within the criminal justice system and regardless of when the harm occurred. This work is not possible without our community partners, including law enforcement, the district attorney's office, sexual assault nurse examiners, and tribal organizations, as well as other community partners. We do want to mention that there are looming funding cuts that are happening within the Victim of Crimes Act and threatened federal freeze of grant funds that's happening as well. If these do happen, it will become impossible for our agency to function and to serve survivors. And so we do need help to ensure that survivors continue to receive the care that they deserve. And we do think it's imperative through our community to be able to be heard and say that this is unacceptable and come together to support and honor survivors. You can visit our website at ncrct.org to make your voice heard. And again, we are grateful to be partnering with the Chamber of Commerce at the upcoming Blue Lake block party. And so please feel free to stop by and drink and grab a drink to support our agency. And again, thank you for supporting our work and the survivors that we serve. And I am happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council?
Good job.
How much do you think you'll be affected with this? Let's say that federal funding freeze happens.
So if the federal freeze happens, as well as losing all of our grants, it's possible that our agency might cease to offer any type of support to survivors. And that's because we are solely a grant funded agency. And a lot of those do come from like federal grants that we receive. We recently had to cut one of our long-standing team members due to losing one of those like grants that we had previously had.
Thank you. Go ahead.
What do you ask of us as a council, as a city, to be able to do on behalf? Is it in addition to the proclamation? Is there a letter, that we can send to representatives, or since you're more federally grant supported, is this something that we would send? Could we send that up to a national level? In addition to this recognition today, what can we do more that we can?
Yeah, so if you visit our website, we show fundraising that we do throughout all of the year. So like right now, for example, at the Heights, if you go, you can donate any of like your cards or cash. There we do a lot of several fundraisers. We're at the co-op currently, as well as there is a letter and a link for something that you can send over to the state representatives. Just kind of like reaching out to them for our support.
Thank you so much. Does the public wish to comment on this item? Anyone on Zoom wish to comment on this item? I'm assuming the heart just means you like it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Can we get a
So, I would move that we accept items. Sorry, don't we have to accept item?
yeah, I think so. Just Lori, can you be quiet? Does anyone wish any other items to be pulled before we go ahead and pass them? All right.
Well, I would make a motion that we accept items A and C on the consent agenda.
What's going on with D?
It's being pulled
Why are we pulling? Discussion about it.
because Kat wanted to discuss a little further.
Oh, okay. It doesn't go like just a one-off.
Not yet,
Okay.
right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Why is it on here? We're not gonna do it.
We're just gonna
We're
pull it. We're gonna automatically accept the consent agenda, but except for B, we wanted to go into a deeper dive into discussion with that.
right now.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Free picture. We have a motion.
Second.
Great. All those in favor of passing items A and C?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, it passes unanimously. All right, on to item 6B.
Oh, 6B is now.
That.
Yes. I can't remember what else was withdrawn.
Oh,
All right, so then start first.
Do you guys want to present on 6th Street? Do you have anything to present? Do you want to ask? Do you have questions on it?
Yes, I think you're right. We saw this, I think it was in January. And thank you for adding in the city clerk. Um, is that where, how was that determined to put it in on par with the Park and Recs director?
It has nothing to do with Parks and Recreation Director. It has
Well, I
everything to
understand
do
that, but
with
it's
the
on the
wage
same
summary.
tier as.
Well, it's just a salary line. So, I mean, people get placed based upon wage. So
Maybe I misspoke. Let me try again. Okay, so I see the tier that includes the positions of Park and Rec Director, recycling, and then that's where you put city clerk.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering how you chose that particular tier.
Based upon the wage survey that I conducted, and I presented the budget to council, looking at similar job duties, positions, and pay rates in our collective area. That was kind of the $25 to $30 range that I saw spread across multiple jurisdictions. And so that was the salary level and line that seemed most appropriate.
I think that as for a paraprofessional and the amount of experience, knowledge, responsibility, and ethics, it isn't much of a bump, but I think it's more appropriate to have it in on the same tier as a finance manager. This is one of the appointed positions that works kind of in collaboration with the city attorney, in collaboration with the city manager. They're really the holders of all that is relevant to our elections, and they're really the foundation of how our processes work. So my recommendation is that the city clerk position would be placed on the same tier as the finance manager.
Well, I'm wondering about possibly possibility that we hire somebody in the city clerk position that needs full training. If we don't, and maybe the city clerk needs a different needs a line all its own. I don't know. But I think that to start somebody who, if we were to train somebody from the ground up, that might be a little high.
I don't think that it really will even serve the purpose to have, to try to hire in someone that is going to require large amounts of training. I think in order to attract staff that have, more than basic ability and be able to find their way around, being able to have a higher end people to be able to attract them. I just, if we don't pay much, we don't get much. And I don't know that what the ad hoc committee had come up with was necessarily to have brand new, fresh, full training from the ground up. Seems like a pretty tough road. But Michelle, you may have some thoughts.
Well, I mean, just looking at what's going on and then the discussion that's coming up on item 14 for the city clerk recruitment, it seems to me that there's a difference in where I can see where Mandy was going with the job tasks and duties that we were initially discussing. However, as time has gone on, it seems that to have a professional city clerk position filled, it needs to be at a level that's a little bit higher than an entry level training type of person.
Right.
And so I think that there's a couple of discussions that are happening. I didn't want to really muddy that discussion because this was pulled, but to lead into 14. But I don't want to go much further because we're not there yet.
Well, can I also point out though that this is a salary range, and so this allows you to hire at whichever position the person qualifies for.
Sure.
And that range was developed, like when I brought the budget forward, was developed based upon the salaries of our, in our local jurisdiction. And I've already had 5 solid applications submitted with the salary range. So I don't think the salary range is a problem or a barrier to employment or interest.
I was wondering, I mean, I'm guessing that this was put back into the same spot that it had been previously when you had a city clerk in position. Is that the location that person was?
No, it's a little bit higher because we wanted to look at the contract services and being able to look at the option if it was limited scope. I mean,
Okay.
if someone's working limited hours, you usually have to offer a little bit more because they're not getting the benefits and all the things. So it allows kind of that spectrum to be utilized, from 2402 all the way up to 3425.
DOE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, my thought on that is that wherever the city clerk is, that should not be a contract. That should not contract consideration should not be part of this wage scale. This wage scale should be for a benefited employee. And then if we're going to do a contract, we would add some sort of a differential to that hourly rate.
And I think that's totally fine. But I have to, because of the way we're set up with CalPERS, everything has to be on a salary schedule at some point. So if we wanted to negotiate a contract amount, then it needs to come back and be committed to the schedule. That's why these amendments are taking place, is because as things change or positions are added or whatever, you have to be able to have that on your salary schedule for CalPERS.
And that's whether or not the job is a CalPERS benefited job.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I agree with what Elise was saying, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but I think that's clearly what the ad hoc committee had come up with was two separate uh, ways. One would be the immediate relief for transcription for meeting minutes and for agenda help, but that wasn't to be any kind of a permanent substitute. That separately and concurrently, there would be recruiting for the city clerk position, and that was to be like part-time or full-time. And again, I think that this the salary range where you have it right now at just the level of Park and Rec director, I think that doesn't reflect the amount of responsibility and training and ethics for a paraprofessional. Again, there are 3 appointed positions. There is the city attorney, the city manager, and the city clerk. And I think just my final comment on this, hopefully, is that it's really unfortunate that it's called city clerk. People, city clerk, grocery clerk. I can bag groceries. I can do the city. It's very extremely different. And I think it's really important to be able to attract the appropriate person, regardless. I mean, it's pretty magical that 5 applicants just posted on one city website. But that doesn't change that this is a paraprofessional that we're trying to recruit for the city for the city clerk position. And I think I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. I don't know if we'll get a second, but I'd make the motion that the city clerk position be moved from the Park and Rec level to the finance, equal with the finance manager level. So that's my motion.
City Manager Maker, point of order, I guess. Do we need to adjust it now, or do we have to wait until our new budget to go ahead and?
No, we're recruiting for a position and I have applicants and I'm hoping to start interviewing next week. I mean, we need to fill this position. So I need a salary schedule. One of the applicants is currently a professional clerk in the community or the county. And this salary range, didn't seem to be a barrier. So, this is someone who has all of the training, does this at a very high level, much higher level than what we would even require at the city. So, I don't see that this pay range is a barrier. I don't know.
I think it's what you had advertised was limited scope, 20 hours a month. That's extremely different than somebody who's looking for a more regular appearance, part-time or
I
full-time.
advertised it both ways. I said it could be a limited scope, tax-based position, contracted, or a full-time position that could move into a full-time position. So everyone so far that we've had interest from has been interested in the contract position, which I had suspected that we would get interest through that by offering that as an option. So especially for someone who has clerk experience, who can come in and knows how to do this job and could come in right away and start taking over, having that extra job, this This isn't, and I've said this numerous times, it's not a full-time job. Um, and so having that as an option seems to really get a lot of
Right.
interest.
Well, I'm hoping that we can continue this discussion or we can dive into it right now. But I feel like there was maybe a misunderstanding. And I will take full responsibility for not being crystal clear. I was I was anticipating a call to express personnel or some other agency to say, I need somebody here tomorrow to start doing minutes and agenda packeting and all of those things as a temporary person. And then we pay that agency whatever we pay them. We don't even pay the individual. We pay whatever the going rate is that they call. At the same time, advertising for a position that may be part-time, maybe full-time, and um, probably expanding some of those duties and scope and responsibility to the full potential, looking at what we've had in the past and what we are needing now. And so that was my understanding going into this when I was working on some things. And I mean, in addition to multiple other things that we as a council need to do, I did dive into the municipal code, which addressed the term city clerk 102 times for multiple different reasons, being code adoption, water service, parks and rec, regulations for filming, building and construction, removal of waste and refuse, on and on and on. I mean, but it is a lot. And I was like, holy smokes, this person is responsible for so many things that I'm guessing you have absorbed
Well,
much of that responsibility.
the part of the issue is that the municipal code doesn't necessarily reflect current status. So the municipal code reflects a time where the city had an elected clerk and that, or we had less staff. And so that clerk, those are all those functions that I talked about before that are administrative. So outside of just being the clerk, where you're doing agendas and minutes and postings and elections, you also had to absorb water billing, accounts receivable, the tracing down the permit. Those are all absorbed in the administrative function. That's the side I haven't been able to keep anyone at. I have people who are doing that job now. They just don't want to do the clerk portion of it. So that work is being done already with our current staff. I just need someone to do the clerk duties.
Yeah,
And to separate those out and update our municipal code, the clerk doesn't need to be in charge of water billing anymore because we have a whole office staff that does that. Back in the day, that clerk was responsible for that, and that was part of those administrative functions.
Sure. And I would like to see a functioning, updated municipal code that was dated 3/26 of 24 last year. So it looks like it was reviewed. But however, the word police, and I don't mean in a verb, but as a noun, and references to the chief of police of Blue Lake and the Blue Lake Police Department 43 times in the municipal code. So it seems like that would be something that perhaps somebody in that city clerk position could assist in modifying, updating, lining out, redlining, whatever it is, retiring, whatever these codes are.
Sure.
So that's a vision of mine. I know we're kind of getting off topic, but I have other visions for access to the public, to us by the public and to the city, and mechanisms in place in order to log and track some of those concerns. And that would be something that the city clerk would be responsible for in my dreams.
For my point of order.
Sure, point of order.
And politely, I appreciate all the research you have done. We still have a motion on the floor. Going back to item 6B, that motion is given the consideration of the importance of the city clerk, the role that it plays, that as a paraprofessional, I want to reiterate. I would like to make a motion that it be located on the same tier as the finance manager. I think that's more appropriate. It gives a lot of room for attracting top quality candidates, and this is for that, not for the contract temporary position of 20 hours a month to do transcription, but really to flesh out city clerk. And, to include, I think we touched on this and we'll touch it again on 14. Let's keep the motion short. I make a motion to move the city clerk from to the finance manager wage on the salary plan.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Seeing none,
A horrible death.
would the council entertain tabling this item until we get to the city clerk discussion?
Yes.
Can we combine the two together, city manager Maker?
I need to get the salary schedule updated. You at least have to change mine. It's not updated for CalPERS, and I have to have it for the next payroll.
Okay.
I have no issue with the scale right now. I would like to make a motion to pass it.
I have a second. There's the economic development planner position.
And we just had a motion.
Uh-huh.
We have a motion on the floor. We have a second. All those in favor of passing it as is, say aye.
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 The motion does not pass. All right. Want to give it one more shot?
Well, I think I have an idea where Kat was going, and that's the economic development planner. I think we should take that off the wage scale because we don't have one. We haven't had one. We're not going to have one. It doesn't need to be on the scale. So I would make a motion that we. Well, did we
Actually,
decide to table
haven't
this
even
thing or
opened this
no?
up to public comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we go to public comment.
No, go ahead and we can make the motion. All right, let's go ahead and give it one more shot.
So on the motion,
Whatever
Yeah.
anyone wants to do.
I make a motion to remove economic development planner from the salary plan.
And accept it and move the rest of it to the later discussion. What do we?
No, that's just
Tabling?
that's a
Not
singular.
tabling.
That's a singular.
It's all by itself. I will second that and add, remove economic development planner and accept the city manager's new rate. And table the city clerk issue.
That would work.
Second.
I'd like to have Mandy's input on what's this economic development planner. I mean, is that something we can develop?
We have
There's a motion on the floor.
There's a motion, there's a first and a second.
Well, I feel like we need all the info today. I think it's really important that we get that info.
Well, you can go ahead and ask it. It's fine. We have a motion in a second.
I'd like to ask Mandy, is that something that's just, you don't care, just dump it?
At this point, sure, just dump it.
We need to open this up for public comment. Anybody wish to comment on this item? Julie Christie, go ahead on Zoom.
Thank you, John, for bringing it up to public comment before you guys vote. I'm gonna do another Browns Act kind of maybe clerical thing here. So when you guys are on a consent agenda from all the other meetings I watched throughout the counties, you either accept or decline it. So like moving into a motion as an action, I don't really think's the direction you don't quote me. I'm just saying what I see. Usually they'll accept it or decline it, and then you're gonna move it into another portion that you would then do an action and motion. So I don't know, maybe Mandy, you can correct there, but that's just my input on the route right now. Thank you.
That's what they've done. They pulled it from consent or taking it as a singular item.
So do we need to address it differently? Okay, great. So would you repeat your motion one more time? I apologize.
I would move that we accept this salary schedule minus the city clerk position and we remove economic development planner from it.
Why are we removing a city clerk from the whole thing?
Because we're going to
Why
discuss
are
it later.
We're discussing it right now. We're here today to discuss things.
I don't think that-
Why are we so empty?
I think we just.
That's not
I have-
seconded.
We not, no.
I have the motion written down.
Okay, would you repeat it?
Motion to accept the city manager's salary, 90,000, to remove the economic development position and to table the city clerk salary discussion.
And I second that.
Is that what you seconded?
Uh,
I thought it was as is.
and yeah, that's not.
What did
And I thought that the tabling of the city clerk was just the discussion of the recruitment process and the whole discussion of the city clerk. Wanted to.
We're here to
Well,
discuss.
the
We're here
problem-
to discuss right now. Let's
We-
discuss it.
we
Let's stop
can-
punting things.
We
need
Point
can't.
of
to get
order.
something
Point of
done.
order. This harassment,
I
sir,
don't hear
mayor,
Please, Chris.
please
I
address this. Please address this.
Let's all just calm down and
Let's calm down.
like think about it for a minute. 5 seconds and we'll get back to it. One.
Once we get the
Can you
city.
wait?
Oh, sorry. Are we counting? Sorry, we're counting.
Okay. Let's start over.
Once we get the city clerk discussion completely hammered out, we can revisit the city clerk wage. So it's possible we could accept it, the motion as mentioned, minus economic development, and plan to revisit this if we can agree on something.
I don't feel like there is support in a change in the wages of the city clerk as it is right now. So I don't think we need to discuss that one further.
Okay.
And I think it just comes down simply to removing the economic development planner from the salary schedule and approving the city manager's new salary range.
All right, you want to make a motion on that?
So moved.
Great.
Second.
And
All
you're,
those in-
can you just clarify that you're keeping the city clerk in there?
Yes.
That way to go.
Keeping the city clerk as is, removing economic development planner, moving forward with your salary plan amendment number 3.
We have a first and a second on that item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, it passes. All right, moving on to item number 7. Commission appointments.
Where are we? Thank you. I think that we have seen a lot of these folks already.
All right. City Manager Megan, would you like to comment on this process?
So council currently has 3 openings on economic development, multiple openings on public safety, and multiple openings on arts and heritage. You have 3 applicants for economic development who are current commissioners who have been seeking to receive a reappointment and continue. And you have a new applicant that submitted at the March 25th meeting. And Donald Chang is here from Public Safety Commission. He has also had his commission application pending.
Mandy, I have a clarification. I have in your summary motion sheet, I have 2 openings on the public safety, 2 openings on economic development, and 3 on the arts and heritage.
Yeah, so that was my mistake. There was Jake Husson didn't put in to re-up his commission. So it's been posted as a terminated position, but I apologize, I just didn't reflect the number. So it's actually 3.
And just for clarification, we've determined that the posting of the termination of the term, ending of the term, is adequate notification for the Matty Act. Okay.
I thought he was just re-upped recently, like last year.
Yeah, he's
So-
through 2026, and he was in attendance at meetings January and February.
That's why.
Did he resign?
He moved,
Mm.
so he's not eligible.
Okay.
So because of Matty Act, would we need to make sure that that's up for 30 days then?
I think that's kind of how we handled it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was termed out.
Okay. So
Do you
apparently
wanna-
we can put 2.
No.
Review for the
So-
Safety Commission.
What's that?
Donald, would you like to come up and speak for a quick minute?
Oh, sure.
In the flesh.
My name's Don Shank. I've lived in Blue Lake for 6 years. Moved from Southern California. Worked in factories, in charge of safety in factories and stuff, and I was a supervisor. So, and I was asked if I would want to do it. I'm retired, so I've got plenty of time.
What interests you about public safety?
What interests me?
Yeah.
I'm public. I want to be safe.
Great. Any other questions from council?
It's nice to see you in the flesh.
Okay.
Very cool.
So, public safety meets once a month on Monday evenings
Right.
at 7:00. Are you able to attend those?
Yes,
meetings?
Mondays are free.
Great. Any other questions? Want to entertain a motion, anybody?
Motion to approve Donald Shane for the Public Safety Commission.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All
Aye.
opposed? City Manager Mayor, do we need to open that up to public before we appoint? I apologize.
Sure.
Yes. Anyone in the public wish to comment on that appointment? Very great. Thank you. So economic development. Darcy, you want to go ahead and
They already did.
Sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Roxanne did it.
Roxanne.
I think Linda Cooley has.
Uh,
Actually, she just.
Um,
Did she?
No, I remember
Darcy.
Roxanne. I remember
Right.
Darcy had left. Is that right? Or did you come back? You were back. I can't remember. Lots of people up.
I know she's okay. And then Linda, didn't she?
I don't remember her application.
No.
No, this is the first time we're seeing her.
So we haven't good.
Okay.
Okay.
And we can choose two today.
Yes.
So I move we
I move
appoint
to move
Roxanne
to
Darcy
Linda
Lima
Cooney.
to the Economic Development Commission.
Sorry, I
Sorry,
didn't hear
who?
what you said.
I move that we move Roxanne Rothery and Darcy Lima to the Economic Development Commission to appoint them.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 They
Hearing
need to
three.
go for public.
Yeah. Sorry, let's go ahead and open that up to public. Julie Christie, go ahead.
Yeah, I try and get my hand up before you guys vote. I was actually going to implore Linda's involvement with the economic development team. She has one of the, being part of the tribe, such a historical business in town, the knowledge and her enthusiasm. We have 3 good candidates, but just Linda has the resume, and I just think that she would be a huge asset for our community. So I want to throw that out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Any other public comment? Darcy, would you mind speaking just briefly? You're re-upping, right?
Do you have a question for me?
Yeah, no, I mean, just you want to, just curious about wanting to continue on the economic development committee.
Well, the reasons I want to continue on the Economic Development Commission are civic duty. I think when you're involved in city government on some level and you are, you're more closer to the heartbeat of the community and the council and what's going on, and it eliminates coming to meetings and being involved eliminates how did that happen without me knowing, so I think being involved is crucial to knowing what's going on in the city, and I feel like more people should participate and be producers instead of preventers.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Darcy? Great. We have a motion on the floor from President Fryer to appoint. Go ahead.
Well, yeah. We
At
already
the
voted.
point- In the future, I mean, I understand this is underway, but in the future, can we make the appointments one at a time? It's been kind of confusing. I think last time we tried to do a trifecta, and I think it's more fair to the process to just consider them one at a time.
Thank you for your input. So we have a motion on the table.
Would you?
It's already voted.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who voted.
We have 3 yeses, Mayor Slotsky. Council.
Michelle
Who's the council?
Are the other 2 no's?
Yes.
Think there's no.
Yeah, I just don't see doing them, throwing them all in a basket at once.
No. Mayor Pro Tem Stefani.
I'm going to abstain. I do want to mention that a month ago we talked about making appointments, and the reason we didn't make appointments to this commission was because there was concern about the way the vacancies had been posted. And I noticed that all the postings were removed from public bulletin boards, but none of the updates were made. And so the website is still out of date. And the Maddie Act notice that was posted, I believe, in the beginning of February. And so there's been significant changes since then. And so I feel like it's still not clear as to where the vacancies are and what positions were open for appointment. And that continues to be a concern. So I would ask again that the website be brought current after tonight's meeting. And then for future appointments that we go forward with proper noticing.
I think we can't really take action on this. It's simply to do the appointment process right now. So
Can
we
we
can
comment?
do a future agenda item on it.
I don't think we need a future agenda item. I think we just need to bring the postings up to date.
But I think, I mean, to be fair, we were clear on the public safety
Yes,
nomination and the economic development for Roxanne and Darcy, both at the last meeting.
Yeah, so.
Here was, oh, on those
We were
postings.
waiting for a time period, and that has happened, but we've done the due process
Yeah.
and waiting. And so lumping them into one, I can see your concern, but we didn't do that.
Already discussed the
We had already done it in the past meetings. So anyway,
Wait,
that's my feedback.
Okay, so I think we should move on.
So we're done with that,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Darcy. Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you. Yes.
All right. Item number 12, city council goal setting discussion.
Scary. So you missed the beginning of the meeting. They moved 12, 14, had to 8.
So now we're.
So the city council is the visioning and goal setting body for the city. And as council, they set priorities for staff implementation and provide guidance through development of strategic priorities. This process helps the council build consensus amongst themselves, thus ensuring the city staff have clear guidance moving forward. City manager Megan, would you like to comment any further on that item?
Yeah.
Okay. So how would the council like to proceed with our goal setting? Do we wish to have a goal setting meeting in the future? Do we want to brainstorm now? I think goal setting is a big agenda item. So maybe we could set some timelines or set a meeting aside or create a special meeting date to begin the goal setting process or to
Well, I think there's two different kinds of goal setting. There's goal setting for the next 10 to 20 years, and then there's goal setting for the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
And I think we're in the 6 to 12 month bucket.
So
And so I would like for us to start to make some steps in setting some priorities for ourselves as a council for the next 6 months to start. And I don't know if tonight is the best time to do that or not, but we've been, we've just not had an opportunity to talk about this. Really, we're just, kind of playing catch up to this point. And it'd be nice if we had some time to just devote to that.
I would like to see, I would like to direct staff to pursue options for the facilitation of a goal setting workshop for the council, in addition to a special meeting in April to look at goals for 25-26 fiscal year.
I'm not at all interested in having a facilitator to talk to us about our goals.
Great.
I think we have to just have some time to talk together. I mean, I think we have a lot of things that if we were given the opportunity to speak of, we don't need a facilitator to get us through the next few months.
Oh, can I ask Mandy? That's okay, when you're ready.
Okay.
When you say facilitator, what does that look like? And is this a licensed professional or maybe have?
Yeah, it's someone who specializes in working with councils and commissions and boards to help you through a process of articulation of what your goals and objectives are as a group. I think my honest opinion, I think you really need a facilitator to help keep things on track and help you really synthesize the information so that it comes out in something that is workable and can be tracked and has specific, real and tangible results. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I don't know that you necessarily want me to be part of that. So I would highly recommend that you look for a facilitator.
Yeah, I'm down for facilitator. Big time.
I'd love a facilitator.
Did you make a motion or were you making?
I
suggestion?
no, just direct. Sounds like a scene.
Great.
No, good. I think before it is scheduled with the facilitator, it would be beneficial for the council to kind of like bang out a few ideas together so that we might be a little bit more in tune before we then avail ourselves of professional assistance. If we spend our time, excuse me, sir, if we spend our time, throwing out and spitballing, uh, full of our ideas from 5 different people, but if we can, I think, meet once before a facilitator at least, we might be able to kind of agree on a few, basically whittle it down. So that means I would propose that the council meet to discuss our goals and try to thin the list before we meet with the facilitator.
I think that's the cart before the horse. Not to steal your analogy, but I'm more comfortable having a facilitator give us the box. Work out details.
Let's open it up to the public for comment. What does the public think?
I'm Barbara Russell. I think the more people involved, the more complicated. And I think that we can work. I believe in you guys. You know, it's you're a council from by the people, and I think bringing more people that aren't part of Blue Lake in is just gonna create more confusion. So I respect you guys. I believe you guys can do it. Okay, and everybody should just be open to representing people, the people.
Thank you, Barbara. Julie, go ahead.
I do support the motion to kind of maybe table this out towards April. I really think we could really focus on getting some of the public demographics for the short and long term. Short and long term really would be something staff could provide to you guys. Maybe they don't want to participate in the dialogue of scripting it out, but they could at least give you, hey guys, in the next 6 or 12 months, these are going to be action items we're going to be potentially looking at. And then the further round, like this will be the next stuff we'd be looking at. I think getting the public in though, in the meantime, we could do a generalized survey with those items in mind. Having the public kind of not be able to have a little bit of influence in on this is probably not ideal. I mean, I've always been infrastructure and public safety. Those are always the top two, no matter what we want to do. But if we could just evolve in a way that we are actually getting some public input real quick, maybe a quick monkey survey thing, I think that would be really beneficial. And a timeline from staff, what we're going to have action items on and when we would be expecting those. So you can actually deliberate from there. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other comments on Zoom? None? All right, bring it back to public. Any other comments? All right, bring it back to council. Would the council entertain potentially having public involved in our if we did an initial meeting, the public would give us input and ideas?
Yes.
Or do we wish to just keep ourselves isolated and talk to them? I guess we probably
We can't do that.
Oh, we could also, again, I think so many different personalities and many people out here. The council is able to meet, once and sort of focus on and say, well, we can toss out kinds of ideas, try to break that down to a manageable list. And then we could also move forward with, with residents, town hall or with a facilitator. I definitely, the city needs to be part of this process. But I think it would be helpful for council to meet first, and whether we workshop it or do an open meeting, have council meet first, kind of list them all out. Thanks, sir.
And do we want to go ahead and just set dates right now? We don't want to try and do any planning tonight on the 74.
Well, we could discuss sort of strategy. Like suppose we all go home and we list our top 10 things we want to accomplish in the next 12 months. And then we come back together and bust out the whiteboard and we see what top 10 things we can all agree on. And look at a calendar and go, we got, we want item number 1 in May and item number 3 is appropriate for August. And we just kind of figure out kind of where we are and what we can accomplish. And we can take into account, if Mandy could produce a list of upcoming items, decisions, different things that we're going to be asked to look at. We can take those into account and start to map some things out. I mean, so far we're just going from month to month, to meeting, kind of, treading water and not getting necessarily to the milestones we might want to, because we just really haven't even been able to set those milestones. So
For the record, I don't feel like I'm spinning the wheels or any of that, or trying to doggy paddle or anything. I feel like I feel like on board. So,
okay.
speak for yourself.
Well, I'm speaking for myself for sure. Um, well, I think Chris, possibly your experience on the council is a little different than some of ours.
That's why I wouldn't mind having a facilitator that maybe manage. Maybe I can learn a few things first.
Sure, would you like to have facilitated the first meeting or second?
Yeah.
or-
Yeah, sure.
What is the cost
Really
of a
helpful.
facilitator, Mandy?
I don't know. I mean, I think you would need to budget probably, $500 to $800, depending on what level of facilitator you're looking for.
Well, go ahead. If we can get two goes at it with the facilitator, uh, and Chris is more comfortable, kind of like, okay, let's just start with that from the beginning. If we want a guided discussion,
Michelle's on this for facilitator as well, just to be clear.
yes, I understand that. I'm working to support you guys in that. Um, kind of, on our own time, we can individually come up with our big wish lists. We don't have to formalize that. Um, but as long as the council is able to kind of come forward with more of a refined list, and especially if we're able to involve the public before any kind of refining, let's get there.
So does the council wish to go ahead and set a date for this next meeting with or without a facilitator, or do you wish to have facilitator day one? What's the wish of the county?
We have a special meeting. Do we have a special meeting already on the calendar for the 11th or 12th? What was it? It's on the website.
Whenever we do this, it'll have to be by itself.
Yeah.
So
That's the first.
Well,
Clear. So we're gonna have 3 meetings during the month. Now 3. So
Would be an additional.
third meeting. You gotta be kidding. We're already meeting in 2 weeks. Let's do it then.
There might be other things that need to be tended into
There certainly will. And this could be one of them.
I would like to move to direct the staff to pursue options for the facilitation of a goal setting workshop for the council. And then date to be determined, cost to be determined, explore options, find out what the options are, get back to the council with that information. And then at that point, we can make a decision on whether or not we're ready to do a strategic planning, goal setting meeting on our own, or if we need a facilitator.
I agree with Michelle on that.
And that was a long motion.
So direct staff to set up options for a facilitated listening session. If we have options, is that?
Yes.
Research.
Yeah.
To research that. We're not just scheduling.
Pursue, yeah, exactly what the recommended action is saying right here. Yeah.
There's the goal setting that I was more concerned with, right? This isn't the strategic visioning plan. This goal setting is the goal setting for this council for this year. It can certainly part of it will be the strategic
Well,
visioning.
I think that's to be determined. I think that we can have a couple of different things when we look at objectives and goals and strategic planning and visioning and involving the public and what is the economic vision. And maybe we can ask the commissions for their input on what some of their ideas might be, what some of their thoughts might be. I think that it's not limited to what are we doing in the next 6 weeks, 6 months, 1 year. I think that it can be, we can have a couple of things, and a facilitator is going to certainly be able to guide us through that process, in my opinion.
Great. Mandy, you have directive,
I
correct?
think so, yes.
Second.
I don't think, I think you guys just give me a drink.
Or director.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's the third.
Do we want to form an ad hoc communicator with our
Information on direction that you have, because you understand it.
So direct staff to evaluate options for a facilitated goal setting session, bring back to council for further discussion and further direction.
Okay, great. Do you think you might be able to do that? It sounds like you identified resources for that already, but is this something that, just one, you think you might know this within a week? And two, can you bring that information to the council, BCC us, so at least we can continue to make progress or setting a date?
I need to do some outreach and see who is available. So, I mean, I can start making calls tomorrow. To see who might be available or what services or who other people have used in the county or different cities.
Yeah. Thank you. My only concern is that if we don't get something scheduled now and you're able to find something out, but then they have a meeting where we can't move it forward, so that we're waiting until the next month and the time just
I think you're going to be able to find a facilitator in like 2 weeks. I mean, you're going to have to, see who's available, we have to see what the costs are, bring it back to council, work with their schedule. I mean, I would think you'd want me to bring you some options, maybe some resumes of people or, I mean, you're really going to be at the mercy too of whatever the facilitator schedule is.
I think for the purposes of the goal setting for this year could be gone before we get to it on that. And then I'd say we do a workshop, publicly come in, to kick it around, get it range, something formal, but at least we can get some traction on some vehicles. That's what I would propose to the council.
I thought given direction already. Or I think that we want to have that meeting separately. So I'd like just to have a goal setting meeting. We could do that. If we decide that the council we want to that's too long. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, once we find out what our options are, and then if it's maybe three, then we do something.
Okay. Thank you.
Options first, then scheduling.
All right, moving on to item number 13, fiscal year 2025 appointments and direction. The council requested discussion items regarding progress on working with fiscal year 2025-2026. The city recently hired a new finance manager, and she will be presenting the city's financial ratio along with options to begin the budgeting process. For you.
This is a council driven item. So this is really for council to provide some direction to staff on. Normally what we do is we, our budget's pretty straightforward because it's really changed a lot year to year. And because, we're kind of limited on staff with our accountant, prepare the budget, we usually are trying to pull it together through the month of June and making sure it's adopted by June 30th, which we've been able to do every year. But with Dan being on board now, that gives us one extra person in office that can kind of work on this. So I know Danny and Scott are starting to work on pulling together the budget information. And so I think, some other cities do budget workshops and things, and the county does a budget roadshow, and we're just not that complicated, so our process is a little bit more limited. So it's really kind of at this point that the council would like to see the process, and just kind of backing into those dates.
For myself, I would like to learn more about the budgeting process. I don't need it to be, too extensive. However, it would be nice to get this process started and get some recommendations from you, Danny, to how we might approach this, what it typically looks like. And then, of course, with the city manager being able to identify some anticipated costs and yeah, some expenditures, obviously, and some revenues, some grants, giving us kind of an update. But I would love to see this next month because I really feel like we, just to kind of give us a little bit of a front look at what some of the basics are, what are some ideas and thoughts, so then we have May to absorb and June to approve, because I don't want to come into this with a whole long discussion in June. That would be my hope, is to have an introduction as soon as possible into this process with those elements.
So I was just curious if there was no, previous financials from last year provided, or is that something we should retain to paper copy of that? It's all back up, or
Uh,
say for 2024.
yeah, and then we can print those too. I mean, our system is fully capable of doing budget comparisons and year-over-year comparisons, so that's really easy data for us to pull forward. And we use those for making our budget projections as we look at, multiple year projections and actuals for the funds, and that's how we make, base our projections for the upcoming fiscal year.
If you want to see what done looks like, the 2024-2025 budget is on the website, so you can scroll through that and just try to get familiar with what the different categories we're going to be looking at are. It's kind of the process overall is a lot of spreadsheets. So if you're not super into them, then the more technical details surrounding that is gonna, kind of be this for you. But the basics for what council should be prepared to like look at and think that where we were at last year, where we're headed, and what our actuals are this year versus where we think we're going next year. Those are all going to be provided in the budget documents for you. It's mostly just, do you feel like we should be concentrating in other areas? Do you have other priorities that are being addressed by the 2024-25 budget? Are there areas that you want to look at from compared to last year where you want to look forward to this year? So for your guys' homework,
Okay.
take a quick
Perfect.
budget. Don't worry about giving like, what do these numbers mean? Where are we spending our money? Like we have these funds, kind of what are the names of the funds? A lot of them are self-explanatory, but the water, obviously, we're talking about water. Sewer fund, we're talking about sewer. So some things are gonna be a lot more like, oh, I get it. But then when you get into the alphabet soup, checkered things, that's when we're gonna probably be saying, hey Danny, what does this acronym stand for? Or what does this actually do? And we'll definitely get into those details. But I would definitely say first step is understanding yourself what it's like
Great.
and where we're gonna, what our job is gonna look like once we get into the project.
That's a really great point.
And I think Danny's going to be, Scott's just very linear thinking. He's the accountant guy, so he just likes numbers, and it's very dry, and it's sometimes hard to really understand. Danny's a lot more creative thinker, which is nice, and she really understands how to use a lot of the other programming and things, so we can start to pull together the financial data in a way that's more reasonable and palatable for the layperson really to understand, because fund accounting is difficult, and we do have a lot of, we do consolidated reporting on financials, and so we want to kind of extrapolate some of that and then represent it and package it so that council can digest it better, because I think we all look at Scott's financials and probably like glaze over halfway through. So
yeah.
So I was hoping to have funds for this previous financial statements. Would it be okay if the digital copy in your previous gets inked in it? Just so that way we can review the data.
the whole budget.
Yeah, just serious budgets.
We can send you the digital copies for those.
Do you just want the budgets, or?
Yeah, I mean, I just prefer having a budget discussion. I have in previous year's budget, so that we can go on.
Sure.
What it would be topic.
What you guys copies of those?
I would like to start maybe like budgets for maybe 6 or 7 years. But I've noticed is that always one thing which were prepared by April. For TK.
April didn't ever prepare budgets.
No.
She signed off of them as the clerk, but they were always prepared by your accountant.
Okay, well, our account needs to do some different graphics then. Uh, so, and regardless of if there's anything, I'd like to see several years. I want to see something more than just this year.
Next year. I want to see several years of data. So instead of having, projected, projected rules and next year, I want to see, let's say the last 3 years, the last 5 years in a row. I'd like to see pie charts so that we see what percentage of our general fund is going for, staffing, capital improvement, facilities. I want to see. I want to see stuff where you look at it and you know what it means. You don't have to look at that. You don't have to that's the total meeting. I want to look at the piece of paper now. Yeah, and it's the budget for general fund for staffing. Thing expense, this much is pension, this much is benefits, this much is salary. I want to be able to see all that stuff in advance. I looked at Eureka's budget presentation last year, and I was like, it's sense. It's a self-explanatory. You don't have to make it schedule me. It's not. And my questions were supposed to be when I sit there with them. I'm confused. I want to see transferred in and transfer stuff. Know where they're transferring it from and where they're transferring out to. I want to see big numbers that says transfer out. If we could just see where the money is coming from and going, it would make life a little easier. I agree with you on the trends, being able to get time and folks. I think it's helpful to be able to see any, given the clutter that we just heard from the North Coast Crisis Center, how they're heavily funded with grants and they might just disappear. And this has been a concern of mine. I hear this go. And each I hear it echo in the Redwood Region Economic Development Commission. Basically, we kind of have to get ready. And I think it would be so helpful if we could look at the past 5 years and say, much of for income is actually from grants. And if we were even able to dive into those grants, to be able to identify between, do we ever get federal grants by much? Okay, very much. So we definitely have to identify federal separate from state or region would be a good goal. And not get too far, but by having this information, it helps inform where we can, where we might need to prioritize and where we need to prepare, maybe for not much available.
A little, just get PDF version on the city website. It's got a lot of the tree landscape, all these portraits. Yeah. If I can see them click on these and take one at a time, I don't really feel like the general college guys do that as much as I also as much as
It'd be nice to do the piece you can to make the fun as big as it can be from the pages. How's it even cool? There's watches this big. They give you the right one to find us.
Kind of a different subject, but kind of related. If we could also make these agendas and budgets OCR-able, so make sure we can machine them and select next to them. I don't think there's a reason not to have that. Yeah. Alrighty. Any other comments on the budget? Do we want to give staff direction on what we expect or want from?
I think that we should set a date. Well, I think for the regular council meeting in April, because Candy's still, you're juggling a lot this year. This is heavily dependent on you. But I think in May, we should consider we should consider to go ahead and schedule 2 meetings because they're under 2 real past this. And not set a goal that we have this really done by I think June 10th. That's 2 weeks before our city council meeting. Well, I think if we had finished, ideally at our city council meeting, which I think is June 23rd, it's the week before the 30th, then it just comes in and we sign. We've done all of the work. Everything's coming up. That's in prayer. At least at the council meeting in April, maybe something sooner. Probably two in May, not just regular council meetings, because there's a lot of work involved in this.
So are you again? Are you saying 3 meetings for that month then? Is that what it means?
I would say in April, probably just either in the council meeting. There's just a lot to be done, but in May, probably two, maybe
In
two.
addition to the Midwest Council meeting.
Could be city council meeting.
So we do not put out in our still call 2 month city council meetings. That's reasonable. Just the two, or you have an additional one for that one. It's not us.
No, we just need to open up the public before we can make any kind of direct decision.
Well,
So it's not
There's so much comment on anyone else to. Anyone else who wish to comment? All right, seeing none, let's bring it back to council for a direction set.
Well, I think what we were doing. Then get familiar with the budget, which I think we can probably pretty strong through the commitment time, so I'll be like that. Um, but penalty Q&A so that we're not last meeting it's going on now and we're shifting it. So I'll ask again.
I'll ask if we're going to listen later on. Or is this?
No, two.
That's the trainings I'm training. Don't follow here.
I think not like we normally do. We normally do one meeting, but we've been doing yes.
It's just that's
Right, for sure. But I still would like to stick with my first request to Danny to bring something to us, very maybe rudimentary, maybe basics, maybe a look-see in April,
Great.
and then making sure that we're prepared way before June 30th for an approval of the budget. If you look at yeah. If you look at the Rio Gales planning for their budget, they already have a lot of their proposals happening in February and March. March and April, the draft budget is already prepared. Proposed budget is then presented to the city council. Many city council discusses the recommended budget. It's fiscal year, input statement, and then June is the budget adoption. So, for the amount, the way that they have broken down their process is like really logical. That affords some time to be just throw a dart, keep our eye.
I used 10 months to shoot for. Don't think it's been realistic as it is here, but I it's definitely on like the sheets and get us a more consistent track of addressing these things and getting it in a more proactive fashion. So that you're not getting to your June 30 deadline and going, we still haven't passed our budget.
Which we've never done.
Never done.
We always pass our budget.
Keep it so that it can be in a smooth and efficient fashion.
I think it's important to note that we don't have that many funds. You know, our general fund is pretty limited and it's pretty straightforward and it's pretty consistent.
Okay.
So the only deviations we normally have is grant funding coming in and project-based funding. So we can probably get you something that revolves more around our general fund and our enterprise funds, for the biggest funds that we have, that have the most control by, I would say, by council, and everything else, like I said, is very project based or it's a grant resource. So there's not a lot of flexibility in those, but we can definitely synthesize some information for you from our major funds to get started.
Okay. I think if you just mentioned it, the grant funding, it's like a giant fund, and giant uncovered, it's understood. And I think that if we could get some comprehensive grant reports published for Kansas in the public, that would be very helpful.
For example, tonight mentioned that there's money coming in for grant and it's paying for the roof. Well, my understanding was that the roof happened 6 to 8 year, and that grant was exhausted. So that's frightening to me because that grant fell off budget. So fell off of our budget this year. So it doesn't, it's not anymore. That we see, but we're still spending money out of it, saving money for it. That's very appealing. Maybe, maybe it should be, but it is. So I wish to have there, and I'd like to see how insurance are being broken out. Of course, be able to report and if we can get it, 800 lines. There's just no way that I can go through 800 lines and it's so long. The information one. So I don't know. I can't pull up. I don't see what I can do about that.